I'm about to make myself feel extraordinarily old, but it was 33 years ago today that Michael Jordan, Alan, offered perhaps the most famous shrug in the history of professional sports. And the reason I say it makes me feel old is that I was in the building for this. This was the first finals that I covered. He is shrugging at Magic Johnson, who was doing the broadcast for NBC, and he was that was his sixth made three of the first half at a time when the three-pointer was nowhere near what it is today. And so that's Michael looking at him like, yep, I don't get it either. I'm just ridiculous.
He wasn't a great three-point shooter, but on that night, he absolutely was. And is there a more copied, I don't know if that's a celebration or whatever, than that? How many times do you see a player in the NBA or any other sport do something, get on a heater like that, and just turn and shrug? That might be one of the most copied expressions we've seen in sports.
He's just basically looking over at him like, yeah, I know it's ridiculous too.
I can't explain it either.
He was the MVP a whole bunch of times, and that brings us to today's Green List, which is brought to you by Hidden Valley Ranch as we get set for this year's NBA Finals. Hembo and I have put together our list of the top 5 MVP performances in NBA Finals history. And at number 5, we wanted to include, and thus did, Jerry West. In 1969, Jerry West became and remains the only MVP in NBA Finals history from a team that lost. He averaged 38 points per game in the series. He scored 40 or more in 4 of the 7 games. And again, he remains the only Finals MVP from a losing team. His Lakers would lose to the Celtics. At number 4, Shaquille O'Neal's performance in 2000. He had a 30-point double-double in every game of that NBA Finals. He averaged 38 and 17 as the Lakers beat the Pacers in 6, by the way. That was the last time Indiana was in the NBA Finals. At number 3, LeBron James in 2016. In those finals, he led all players on both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And speaking of blocks, his chase down block on Andre Iguodala right here in Game 7 might be the most famous defensive play in recent NBA memory. LeBron is in at number 3. Michael is in at number 2, greatest MVP of the finals performances, and we went with 1993. That was a 6-game win against Phoenix. He scored 40 points in 4 consecutive finals games. That remains a record. He scored 55 points in Game 4 of that series, which is the most recent 55-point game in NBA Finals history. And they would beat the Suns in 6 to finish off a three-peat. You would say, how could that not be number 1? Number 1 goes to a rookie. Magic Johnson, 1980. Everyone remembers that he jumped center in Game 6 because Kareem was hurt and wound up with 42 and 15 and won the game. But he averaged 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists in a 6-game finals against the Sixers at the age of 20. Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, the MVP of those finals. And in our opinion, Hembo's in mind, based on the fact that he was a 20-year-old rookie, we make it the greatest MVP performance in the history of the NBA Finals. Your thoughts?
Jokic is a guy that you could discuss as well.
So he was there. I will tell you right now, he was there.
Putting West on that list.
We put West on the list because it felt so recent. And Hembo and I appreciate the history of the sport. We wanted to get in something a little historical, and I think there is something so unique. Look, could you have put a Jokic there who averaged a triple-double in the finals? You certainly could. But Jerry West, to do it on a losing team, imagine how brilliant you would have to have been to be named everybody the MVP and your team lost.
Yeah, and LeBron almost did that as well, or could have done that as well. And near and dear to my heart, Willis Reed, 1970 is another one that you could look at because of what he did in Game 7, but he had been dominating the series up until that injury.
He limped onto the floor in Game 7. It was actually Walt Frazier who won them that game in one of the great Game 7 performances of all time. But we digress.
NBA,